Hey everyone, it's Mark from Stocks and Cash. It's April 5th, 2018. Here at the market update video, talk about some holdings and then potential trade setups for tomorrow. If you can tell in my voice that I sound annoyed, it's because I am. Looking at the SPY here, we put in a doji type candle. You know, nothing crazy, a little benign, relatively mediocre volume, average basically, although lower than what we've gotten recently. And then the president speaks and wants to impose $100 billion in tariffs, and we're down about 1.25%. So that's extremely frustrating, as you can see here. Minus 1.2, minus 1.15, minus 1.43 on the indices. These are accurate as of, well, 8:14 p.m. So it's just frustrating, these wild swings we're seeing in pre and post markets, but it's the nature of the beast, I guess. Ideally, it'd be nice. Let's see, we are at the 8 EMA today. Was at 263.23. Wouldn't be awful if we opened there and kind of rallied up, sort of what happened back here on the 4th, just a couple days ago. You know, no way to tell if that's what's going to happen or not. We are actually below that level right now. If I look at the futures, which I can't pull up on the screen here, but as I look, futures are at, well, it's hard to tell. They are really moving around right now. Buy and sell, I'm sorry, the bid and ask price. The bid is at 262.20 and the ask is at 263.39. So quite a wide gap, quite a lot of volatility, especially for futures. So you know, anything can happen. It's still early. It's only about 8:30 as I'm making this video. Certainly a lot can happen overnight and in pre-market tomorrow morning. So you know, this, I don't think it's going to get a ton more worse than what it's at now. If anything, it'll probably you know, fade back up slightly. But you know, certainly some concern here. We did close above this resistance level of 264.62. So that, although we put in a doji, it gave some confidence that we might, you know, maybe come back and test it and continue on higher. There was a gap that actually occurred today. So the high on the 4th, 264.36. The low of today was 264.32. So I guess we did close that gap. So I take it back. No actual gap to fill. But still, if we came back and tested the lows from today and then kind of bounced on higher and tried to get through this 21 EMA, as you can see, that's where we get stopped. That would be nice. MACD is trying to cross over bullishly. Stokes are looking bullish. RSI kind of trailed off a bit today, but you know, overall things are looking still relatively healthy. You know, you can see back here we put in a hammer slash doji type candle where we opened up low and then kind of shot up. So still some hope and potential for that to happen. Certainly looking to get to this gap at 270, fill this gap at 270.37. But again, there's certainly some overhead resistance levels like the 52, the 55 exponential and the 100 simple moving average. So I guess we'll see where we open tomorrow. Being that far down, I doubt it's going to just take off bearishly. It could, but I would expect it to maybe bounce and at least come back and test this 264 level. But I guess tomorrow is going to be an interesting trading day, so we'll see what happens in the markets. Let's look at the Qs. Oops. Pretty much a similar day to the SPY. It was more of a hammer type candle than a doji. Volume was also relatively low and mediocre, but truthfully, it's, you know, still higher than what we saw all the way back here in this range. So not the most terrible volume, just lower than what we've been seeing, and we pretty much got stopped at the 100 simple moving average. So, and it looks like we bounced off the 8 EMA. We did basically close out of this descending trend line, but you know, not with any confidence. So MACD still has a lot of work to do with the market opening downward. I don't really see a whole lot of support here on the Qs. Maybe this candle, you know, kind of act as a pivot. We bounced up and then came back down again. So perhaps this is where we could find an open around 158 or so and then bounce from there potentially. But yeah, things are looking a little dicey right now in the futures. So let's take a look at holdings. American Express. I was stubborn and did not get out of American Express, but I also kind of held it as kind of a hedge in case I did get into any long positions. So I'm currently down on AXP, if you bear with me, about 30%. So certainly nothing to be happy about, but this gap did fill. Unfortunately, we did not close above it, and we pretty much got rejected at this 50% retracement level, and that level is based on this swing from here to here. So again, most likely going to open down tomorrow, based on futures being so erratic tonight, which is good for me, but we'll see if we bounce or not, and that'll be a first 5-minute decision. If we close below the first 5-minute candle and start running down, obviously I'll hold the position. If we close above the first 5-minute candle, I'll probably take profit and look for some potential bullish entries, maybe later in the day, assuming that the market's moving that direction. MACD has crossed over bullishly, just barely, briefly. Stokes are looking strong. RSI is kind of rolling a little bit, so I wouldn't be surprised for a bounce, but the economic news and the way the market's been reacting to it has been a little difficult to trade this market consistently. Let's take a look at some potential trade setups for tomorrow. And most of these are things that are looking strong or on the cusp of breaking out. So Disney had a nice solid bullish candle today. Volume was slightly lower than it's been recently, but not too bad. We've broken out of this descending trend line here. We bounced, basically opened at the 21, kind of back tested the high of yesterday, and bounced up, rode up for most of the day. So I do think there's a lot of upside in Disney, and probably should redraw the fibs here. And we can draw them bullishly since that's our perspective. From that swing there to this swing here. So I'm looking at the high of this candle on the 12th and the lows that you can see here on the second or so. So we are still trying to get through this warning zone type area, and there is the 55 exponential overhead and certainly the 100, but it's nice how the 100 lines up right with our 100% retracement level, which is around 106. So we are currently at 102.11. It's about a $4 gain up to this level if we do, trend up bullishly. That being said, again, just to keep with the theme, we will probably open down. It would be potential good buying opportunity if we came down and tested the lows from today and kind of rode up from there. I don't know where we'll open tomorrow. Most likely, I don't expect a recovery overnight, at least not 100% recovery. So I do expect to open down a bit. Testing the lows wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. It would present a good buying opportunity, and then we could get in from there. You can see the Stokes are bullish. MACD is crossing over bullishly, and RSI, although still looking strong, is kind of rolling a little bit. So not too concerned about that with RSI, but just something to keep an eye on. So I do think Disney would be a decent opportunity tomorrow. Again, it's going to depend where we open up and what the price action is in the morning. Let's take a look at First Solar. First Solar kind of bounced off the 100 yesterday and the 55 more specifically. It didn't quite touch the 100, but it did open on the 55, closed a little bit below the 8, and finally got a close back above the 8 today. So I can see us getting back up to 74.42 and then perhaps going up to this recent high of 76.61. So those are the two targets I'll be looking at on First Solar. Again, we'll see what happens in the morning where we open up. Cores, Michael Kors. Well, I wouldn't count this one, but 2 big, strong, bullish candles in a row. We are a little bit away from the 8 EMA, but nothing that's saying that we can't continue on higher. We are out of this warning zone. The retracement levels that I drew are obviously from this high here on the 7th to the low on the 9th, and Kors has been pretty quiet. It hasn't really fluctuated as nearly as nasty as the market has. And you can see the indicators from this doji here on the second, this doji, have really started to pick up. And Stokes are obviously looking very bullish. MACD is starting to turn up bullishly, and RSI is looking very strong as well. I think cores is a good potential trade. Again, we'll see if we open tomorrow. Testing, back testing the lows at the open wouldn't be the worst thing in the world, and get a rally up throughout the day. Hopefully, we get some buyers coming in to, you know, buy up that gap down we'll most likely see tomorrow. JWN or Nordstrom, also in a warning zone, similar to cores. MACD is starting to turn up bullishly. Stokes are looking strong, and RSI, although slightly rolling, is still bullish. Volume was a bit lower than you'd like to see, pretty much in these last 3 days, but volume isn't always super strong in this stock, as you can tell. So I do think there's some good potential here. It's really going to depend once again on what the overall market does. And last but not least, now I've shown you two retail stocks, Coors and Nordstrom's. This is another one, Macy's. But Macy's has looked very strong too in this recent downturn in the market, and we are looking to retest recent highs here. We have tested recent highs, 30.97, with potential targets of 33.26 and 36.21. Now these are the kind of setups we were looking at prior to the market getting all funky since the first of the year. Well, I guess late in January, but you get my point. Where we kind of come up and hit a level, pull back and touch our fib levels, and then, or in this case the 55, which almost coincided with a 50% retracement, and then try and retest and break out of these levels that we previously touched. So if we do break out, these are the targets: target 1, 33.26, and target 2, 36.21. So keep an eye on Macy's for a breakout. That's all I have today. We'll see what happens tomorrow morning. At least it's Friday. Hope everyone has a great weekend, and we'll be back on Sunday with a market update. Thank you and take care.